What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris. Welcome back. Thank you so much for the amount of support you guys have shown on the last two videos I uploaded. I truly love making this type of content, and because of the support you guys have shown, I'm actually going to be working with a company and launching a new channel in February where I'll be working for them and doing this type of content. So thank you guys so much. Now let's get into things. Okay, today's video is about the contender that nobody is talking about, the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, the Clippers right now are a middle-of-the-pack team with a 19-15 record that have an incredible group of really high-quality role players. We're talking about guys like Norman Powell, who are averaging 24 points per game this year, shooting 44% from deep on 8 attempts a game. Ivica Zubac, who's averaging 15 and 12. James Harden, who's averaging 22, 6 and 8 on 39% from the field and 35% from deep, as well as having a steal and a half a night. A guy like Amir Coffey, who has been one of the most improved role guys in the league, averaging 10.5 points per game, 3 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field and 45% from deep. Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn, two of the best acquisitions of the offseason when it comes to getting guys on really good value contracts. DJJ is averaging 9.8, 3.5 rebounds, 1 steal, 50% from the field while shooting 37% from deep. And Chris Dunn, you know what he's doing. He's getting his 2 steals, averaging his 7 points, getting his 4 boards and his 3 assists, all while shooting 45% from the field. Now, when I go through the role players on this team, you obviously see a common trend. Really decent perimeter defenders. And that's kind of what the Clippers have built their identity on this season. They are the 7th seed right now, and they have the 4th best defensive rating in basketball. But the area they've really struggled in is the offensive side of the ball. They are 23rd in offensive rating, which means they're bottom 7 in the league in scoring. Now, that's been a bit of an issue. But I think when you're getting a guy like Kawhi Leonard back tonight against the Atlanta Hawks in what is one of my most hyped games of the season, I cannot wait to see this. Now, when you're getting a guy back like Kawhi Leonard who's going to relieve some of that pressure from other guys and give you a good 20 points per game and play elite defense, I think the sky is the limit for this group and they can be contenders if they follow one of these 2 paths that I'll go over shortly. Now, I'm going to give you some background info before we go into path 1. Now, they are a bottom 10 in rim defense, but top 10 in rim shots allowed, meaning teams are scheming to get into that paint and score on them, and it's working. They're middle of the pack when it comes to defending the mid-range, but they're top 3 in perimeter defense. Now, obviously, like I said, when I name the role players they have, you obviously see a lot of guys who are really decent defenders, and there are some players I didn't even name. Now, the issue comes when Ivica Zubac gets off the court, who already isn't a great rim protector. He's only averaging 1 block per game. He's not really stopping anybody at a crazy rate or anything. But then when you take him out and you put a guy like Kai Jones or Mo Bamba on the court, it's just like, what are we doing? And they've really lacked that big man depth this year. And that's where we get into path 1. Path 1 is to go out and acquire a big man. A big body like Robert Williams would be ideal, a guy who's going to block shots and dunk the ball and rebound at a high level. Or you could even go out and get a guy like Nick Richards. And I think Nick Richards might be the better move. Now, we'll get into a trade for each of these guys. For Nick Richards, you could potentially be getting Cody Martin as well for some more added wing depth and perimeter defense. You'd have to give up Bones Highland, 2 second-round picks, and you also have to give up PJ Tucker to match salary. If you do that and you come out of that after giving up 2 seconds and two guys who are not playing for you, and you walk away with Nick Richards and Cody Martin, you're laughing. That instantly adds way more depth to this group, and it kind of puts them in a little bit more of a position where if someone does go down or Kawhi needs to sit tonight, you know what, we'll let Cody Martin and these guys rock out and hope they can get us a win. Now for Robert Williams. Now, if it wasn't for the injury concerns with Rob, I would be... If I was the Clippers, I'd be jumping at this opportunity. You could potentially just be giving up PJ Tucker, 2 second-round picks, and Kobe Brown. Now, obviously, that doesn't sound like a lot, but because of Rob's injury history, you could easily negotiate that down, I feel like. And the thing is, it's hard to make trades as the Clippers because you don't have any of your first-round picks because of the Paul George trade. And any of first-round picks you do have, you can't trade till draft night because of the Stephene rule. Now, when it comes to the second path, the second path I'm referring to is the idea that the Clippers could potentially go out and acquire a secondary scorer. And I know you're going to say, well, Norman Powell is averaging 24 points per game. He's having a ridiculous year. And I didn't think here on January 4th that we'd be seeing Norman Powell still doing what he did to start the season. but I just don't know how much longer it's going to continue. He struggled the last couple games. They dropped the last 2 games to the Spurs and Thunder, where he didn't really look particularly great. And maybe it's time to go out and get a bona fide proven guy and has already made all-star teams and has that respect around the league, and a guy you can full-on trust to take the shot in the clutch in the playoffs. Now, the player that I see on this path is Brandon Ingram. He's on the last year of his deal, and Ingram being at that $36 million mark means you can go out and trade Norman Powell, Kobe Brown, Bones Highland, and PJ Tucker, as well as 2 second-round picks. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but you have to think about the fact that then the Pelicans could go reroute Powell, obviously because they're not a good team, to a contending team and get draft capital for him. And also, you need to get some sort of asset if Ingram's just going to walk at the end of the season. Now, out of the 2 paths, I don't know which one I think is safer, and that's where I'm going to let you guys decide. Give you a little more background info just to kind of debate for each side. Obviously, for path 1, you're taking a bit less of a risk trade-wise, but you might not be able to go as far with this group based off of the fact that in the last 5 years, Kawhi Leonard has had 401 eligible games to play in, and he's only played in 229 of them. That means he's played in 57% of a potential 401 games that he could play in. And it's just kind of crazy that I'm out here maybe sitting here and saying like, oh, well, Kawhi's coming back, this is going to be huge. When we've been saying this every time he comes back, he plays a few games and then he gets hurt again or something happens and he's just not on the court. But for some reason, this year kind of feels different, and that's why I think maybe all they need to do is go out and get a big body and just continue to let Kawhi rest, even if they come into the playoffs as a bottom 6 seed or a bottom. I can't speak. If they're either the 5th or the 6th seed and they're not going to ever have a home court advantage, who's saying they can't pull off an upset? You look at those championship Raptor teams, or not championship, that championship Raptor team. And you look at the supporting cast, it's not very similar to what the Clippers have going on, but from a numbers perspective and what each players are providing and where they rank in defense, it's very, very similar. And I think there's a world where this Clippers group will shock people and go on a run, whether they go down path 1 or path 2. But the thing is, they cannot stick with this exact core. You need to make some sort of change come deadline time, because you know what? You have an excellent coach, you have an excellent group of high-quality role players, and you have your stars in Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Go make some sort of splash, whether it's a splash into the kiddie pool or it's a cannonball into the big boy pool. I'm Chris Lambert, folks. It's been a pleasure as always. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Are you going on path 1, path 2, or are you going on path 3, a path of your own? We'll see you later. Thank you.
Shot about like 19 times. Then he goes like, guess how many times I shot there? I'm like, how much? Like, I shot it 47 times. I was like, all right.